Okay, so you'll need to go to Cricut Design Space or open up your Cricut app. And then you scroll down, it's right here at the top, right, easy access here. And there's different sizes. So if you need a small youth, a small to medium adult face mask, or a large adult face mask. We're gonna go here with this small to medium adult face mask. That's the one I'm gonna make. You just click on it. Then you come down here into the bottom corner and it says make it. Click that. And then it will tell you exactly what you need to do here. So you'll want to take your Cricut mat, which is a sewing mat for cutting the fabric, and that is a pink mat. Okay, it will pull up your material selection. So then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to hit fabric cotton and select that. Then it's going to ask you what pressure you want. I have always done more, and that has worked for me. You might have to test that on your own machine, but that has worked best for me. Then I'm going to take my fabric. I'm using this Cricut fabric. You can use any fabric that you have, but it's best to use 100% cotton or a tightly woven cotton so that it gives you the best protection. So you'll need two colors. I'm going to use this one for the outside of the face mask, so that will be the one that you see, and then this is going to be the inside lining of the face mask. So I'm going to take my Cricut material and I'm just going to lay it here on my Cricut mat. Make sure that it fits on there so that it lines up evenly. And I put the right side of the material face down. And then I just smooth that out. As nicely as possible and get all the wrinkles out of there. Now you don't have to iron your material, but if your material is really wrinkled, I would iron it for best results. Okay, so you're going to want to use your rotary blade for your Cricut Maker. So to replace the blade, you're just going to go on here on your Cricut Maker and release the blade that you have in here, and then take this one, set it up against there, and snap it into place. If you're going to use a fabric marker to mark your material, which we won't be using today, it would go into the A set here. So this mat that we're going to be cutting now here first with the two on the same, which is the first cut that you're going to make, is for the inside lining of the mask. So make sure that that's the fabric that you have on your fabric cutting mat. I'm going to load it. And then when it's ready, I'm going to hit cut. Okay, when it's finished, you hit unload, and then you're going to remove the excess fabric from your mat. There you have it. Okay, I'm going to be putting the second fabric mat into the Cricut Maker. This is the material that you're going to want on the outside of your face mask that will be shown. So I've loaded into the Cricut Maker. Unload it, and then peel off the excess fabric. Okay, so you see how that's cut out? So now you're going to snip here just along this corner edge. Just make sure you don't snip into the seam here. This will help it so that it lays flat. Okay, then I'm going to take this, turn it right side out, and then I'm going to press these seam edges down flat on each side. Okay, so I've done that for the outside lining of the face mask. And now I'm going to go through and stitch down the top of this on the front of the face mask and just do a top stitch right down that seam just to kind of reinforce that and seal it up nicely. Okay, so this part we're going to take the inside liner and we're going to just fold down the edges here, this one edge, about 1/4 of an inch, and then I'm going to take my mini easy press or your iron and just press that down so you have a nice smooth edge. Okay, so now I've got this ironed down and I'm just going to top stitch it down so that we don't have a raw edge. Okay, so we've done the one side and then we're going to do the same thing to this side. We'll fold it down about 1/4 of an inch. Mine's probably a little bit bigger than that. Take my mini press and just press that down. Okay, and then do the same thing with the sewing machine and sew a top stitch here. Okay, so I've got both of those done. I'm going to set that aside and we're going to work on the outer lining. Okay, so I'm going to do a 1/4 inch fold here like we did on the last one and press it with my mini easy press. And then, because we're going to make a casing for the elastic to go into, we're going to fold it over again. And but this time we're going to fold it over about 1/2 inch so that we have room for your elastic to fit into. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that, but I'm going to press that and then I'm going to sew it. And when you sew it, I'm going to show you where you want to sew it so that your elastic can fit into the case. Okay. And I'm going to throw a couple pins in here. I usually don't bother with pins if it's a simple, easy project like this, but I'm going to do that so that I make sure that I get this sewn in the right spot. But when you sew on your machine, you're going to sew right here along this bottom edge, as close to the edge as you can. Just make sure you get all of the material sewn in there, so that you have room for your elastic to slide into this top area here. Does that make sense? So you want to leave like a little tube so that the elastic can go through one end of the tube and come out the other, okay? Okay, so we've done that on both sides. Now we're going to put the two pieces together. Okay, so now we're going to take the two of these and put them together. And you've got to find the part that kind of pokes out the most, and that's the nose. But we're going to put the right sides of the fabric together and we're going to sew them together. So you want to make sure you line up these seams on the top and the bottom really well. And I'm going to pin this as well so it doesn't shift while I'm sewing. But we are going to sew from this end over that curved part over here to this end. But we don't want to sew over these casings because then our elastic won't be able to fit through there. So make sure you leave that open. So you're going to start right here on the outside of the edge of that casing. And we're going to sew it with a 1/4 inch seam. Okay, so I've gotten this all finished, and you can trim your threads as you go. And now I'm just going to pull this through one of the sides, turn it inside out. Okay, so now I'm actually going to take my Easy Press again, and I'm just going to press this down so the seams are nice and flat so that your mask lays nice and clean on your face. So I'm just going to use this. You can use your iron, the tip of your iron, and just press along that edge. Just make sure the fabric is pushed up, and you just get a nice clean edge. I'm going to do that for the whole thing. Okay, so I've got all the edges pressed, and I'm just ironing it all so it's got a nice finish. Okay, so now I'm just going to do a top stitch along the top again and on the bottom, and that just is going to finish it off nicely and just hold the liner and the front of your face mask all together nicely. Okay, so I take my ribbon or my elastic. I'm using elastic, and this is about 1/4 inch thick. And I take this and I'm going to thread it through the cases that I made on the front of the mask here and put it through this tube. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach a safety pin to this, and I'm going to thread it down through. You can do this with a ribbon if you want, and you can do it the same way. You would just finish the ribbon and you would use a lighter or something to burn the edges so that the ribbon wouldn't fray. You can do it that way if you want and put a ribbon on each side. But I think the elastic is probably the easiest. I'll show you how to thread it through. And I just push it through into the top tube, and then I just thread it down in. Let it work its way down in there. I do that till it comes out the other side. Okay, so I have threaded the elastic through one end and then up over into this end. Make sure your elastic is flat. And then I'm going to sew these two together, these ends here. I'm going to do a square, and then just make sure I reinforce that so it doesn't come apart. And then you're going to pull this sewn part into this stitching over here so that you lose it, so that you have nice clean edges. And that's it. That's all you need to do for your mask. Pretty easy. You can make a whole bunch of different ones, different styles, different sizes for your face. I'll show you the end product when I'm done here.